You are now live.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just, before we get into the agenda, can I just note that Tammy Gill, the HR manager for the township, is here, because one of the things we're going to look at is the Township of Clearview vaccine policy, and I just wanted to make sure that Tammy was here in case there are any questions related to that. Madam Chair?
Okay. Would it be an idea to move that earlier on the agenda so don't keep Tammy too long?
Well, I'm hoping you don't talk too much about anything else.
Well, I don't know.
We can certainly move that up if you would like to adjust the agenda.
Yeah, I don't know where you want to put it.
We'll adjust the agenda to have Tammy speak. That will deal with the vaccine policy first,
Okay.
and then everything else will be the same. And then with that amendment to the agenda, then maybe we can get a motion
To approve the agenda.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Somebody want to make that motion? Bob?
I also move.
Okay. Do we need a seconder for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
John or Pam? All in favor then? All right.
Okay, so if we want to deal with the vaccine policy first.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
All right. Well, the township has brought the vaccine policy into effect, and it was created, well, probably written by Tammy, but approved by the senior management team of the township. The council has seen this and has determined that they will be a part of this policy. And normally we would just, the township has really led the way on COVID, and we have just pretty much followed their policies and protocols. But in fact, the board is the employer of the library staff, and therefore it behooves us for legal reasons to ensure that we have a policy in place. We can adopt it as is. It does not need to be renamed because it's covering everyone, including library staff. But I think just to be on the safe side, it's a good idea if we adopt the policy.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about it, Bob?
So we do a few things as a public library that are a little bit different than general policy. If we adopt this, we can, I would presume, continue to have special things that we do.
The policy really only affects staff.
Employees, exactly.
Yeah, it's only about employees and their vaccine status. So it's not affecting any programming we do or any library services or operations other than that.
That's right.
Okay.
It doesn't affect our dealing with the public at all.
No.
No. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Tammy? Lively bunch. Connie, did you have a question?
Thanks, Tammy. Has there been any discussion about the gray area where people can't be vaccinated because they have an underlying condition? Is there any discussion about testing them instead?
Thank you, Councillor Leishman, through your chair. There absolutely is two possibilities for exemption under the vaccination policy. One falls to medical situations where we have an accommodation form as township, just based as accommodation in general. So if you need assistance physically or what have you. So the vaccination policy does speak to that form. If it's a medical condition that requires you to remain unvaccinated, then we would require medical certification from your doctor or any physician or nurse practitioner that's helping you with that. There's also a human rights exemption. So if there is a reason for being unvaccinated that falls under the Human Rights Commission, there's an exemption for that as well. So there are options for people. They're not that readily available, unfortunately. The medical profession has their statutes of limitations, but also the Human Rights Commission is really taking it to one specific exemption, and that would be religion.
So
hope that answers your question.
That didn't answer her question. It didn't answer whether or not public, like rapid testing or whatever is available for people who qualify under either of these exemptions.
Thank you. So for those folks that do have an exemption to the policy, they will be provided rapid tests. I have them. I just received them last week, and I'm slowly distributing them to the staff that do need them.
So the library will be getting some of the rapid tests then too? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Great.
For anyone that has the exemption for sure, or that is unvaccinated before December 1st.
Is there any leeway for people that that aren't recognized by their doctor or physician, people that actually have reactions to having vaccines and things, and the doctors don't think that's good enough, but in their mind, they know that, you know, they don't want to deal with whatever consequence is going to happen. I know that some people that have had reactions to these shots can be exempt if it's, serious enough. I'm just not sure about the gray area. You know what?
Yeah. So I think it would still fall to their doctor to speak on their behalf and provide, written notification that they're not eligible at this time.
Right.
And I think for those folks that are having a reaction, that is one of the options the physicians do have. But if unfortunately, if your physician isn't able to endorse that, then that does not allow you to fall within the exemption part of the policy.
Okay, thank you.
Bob?
I have a question of Jennifer, and that is, do we know the status of our employees' vaccination at this point in time?
Yes, we do. That's been provided to Tammy as the overall COVID coordinator. I believe, Tammy, it was October 1st that we had to have that information into you.
That is correct. And I do have the status of all your staff, but it's not something I'm able to talk about.
The only question I had was whether or not everyone has been vaccinated.
Yeah, and that's not something I'm able to share. It's medical and confidential information, but staff have provided me their information. They are in compliant with the policy from the standpoint of sharing what they can share at this time.
Okay, the other thing that I wondered about is our contractors have to be vaccinated. Are we in a position where any contractors might be an issue as far as the library is concerned? Jennifer, do you know?
No, not to my knowledge. And the other thing that the township has orchestrated is that whichever department calls in a contractor first and verifies that they've been vaccinated, then if they're called into another department, we confirm that verification so they don't have to keep going through this process.
At this point, I don't think we have any contractors. We may have some work done in New Lowell. Is that work completed now, or?
The work in New Lowell is completed. The only issue would be when we're having the general maintenance contractors come in for the HVAC, and they usually only do that 3 times a year. I believe all the branches have had them come in already, so we wouldn't be looking at worrying about this until spring, unless we have something that our general contractor needs to address that comes up. But again, our general contractor also is general contractor to the township. I'm sure we can cover this off fairly easily.
Yeah.
Following this
Okay.
policy.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
One thing I did notice in here, I wondered about the vaccination requirements. It's probably a moot point since it appears everyone is vaccinated, but there seem to be 2 dates that were in contradiction to each other, December 1st, 21 and November 15th, 21.
I think that was to allow people the 2 weeks to become totally immunized. They have to have had their shot by mid-November so that by beginning of December they are, totally safe or whatever. I looked at that too, Bob, and I questioned it, and I thought, okay, that's why.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. That is why I put those dates in there, although you're not the first people to find it confusing. So I could have maybe written it out a little bit better, but the idea was if someone had their second vaccination shot by November 15th, that allowed them to be fully vaccinated by December 1st.
Right.
Is exactly the intention there. And
Okay,
it was just sort of laying out those dates because of the times in between your doses. That I tried to help with some milestones that people could achieve to ensure they're fully vaccinated by December 1st.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hi, Jennifer's dog.
Is anyone competent to answer that question? Can you translate dog?
Yeah, really,
I wish I could. I wish I could speak.
exactly. Is it too soon to have somebody make a motion to adopt the vaccination policy for the staff? No?
I'm prepared to make that motion.
Okay, seconder? Pam? Everybody in favor? Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't think we need your help anymore, Tammy.
Thank you for having me, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much for
Cheers.
coming to clarify those points.
Good night.
Okay, good night, bye-bye.
Sorry, Madam Chair, for being a little late. I was tied up speaking to someone in front of the building here, and so I rushed in. I haven't even taken my coat off yet, so there you go.
There you go. Thank you for attending. Busy person, I know. All right, so we've already approved the amended agenda because we changed the order of it.
Yep. And gone through so the next is deputations and presentations. We have not received any public input, so there are none under that.
Okay.
And Madam Chair,
Now we need to approve the minutes of the last two meetings.
yes, so we'll need two separate motions for that.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion for the September 21st meeting that we accept the minutes? Pam, seconded by John. Okay, and we're all in favor. And then the next, the September the 28th meeting, can we have that set of minutes accepted?
I think I saw Bob's hand.
Okay, and John's up too, so we've got them both, I think, approved.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we go on to the reports, Jennifer.
Okay. And I see there were some spelling errors in there. Obviously, I was going brain dead when I wrote these up. But in the business arising report, the Stainer branch door, the automatic button now works. And Michelle has been walked through the process of cycling the auto open mechanism, which was one of the many problems we had with that door. So we should not have to call in contractors to assist us again. Very happy about
Question,
that.
somebody else have that training now too? Not just Michelle?
Well, Michelle has, so she can do that. I mean, that was only one of many issues we had with the door,
Okay.
but at least that issue. And Michelle, if she's not going to be around, we think it's going to be a problem if she can pass that on to someone else. I don't think, Michelle, it was that complicated. It was just.
No, everybody has a picture of the position that it should be in as well too. So yeah, no, we're good.
All right, good, thank you.
Okay, and you have included in, I'm the official doorman. You have included in your agenda package the job descriptions that I submitted to Tammy Gill, the township HR manager. She is working on getting all the job descriptions for the township revised for the purposes of market value assessment and pay equity assessment. And so she needed them by a specific date. So I presented them to you, but there's a lot of information there. And I think maybe you would like to have at least one more month to go over all that before we actually look at having you approve them in November, if that's all right with everyone here. I did talk to staff about what they felt had changed in their jobs, and the two jobs that had significantly changed were the library clerk positions. And so you'll see most of the changes in job functions in those two positions, but it reflects what they've actually been doing. I haven't put in there anything to do with COVID because we all have our fingers crossed that, this is a one-time and not something that's going to be recurrent, so that you would see it in a job description. When it's time to revise the job descriptions again, if we find that we're still dealing with a pandemic, maybe we'll have to put those in, but you won't see them reflected in these. The bank account reports you do have later in the agenda under our financial reports, the bank account report for August. I have one statement. We have two bank accounts, one for the general Clearview Public Library fundraising and donations, and the other specifically for the Stainer Building Fund. And I have not received the general bank statement yet. I'm only in the office every other week, and geez, this is a busy place. And I hadn't received it when I was in on Friday. So it will be in the next meeting. I think, Michelle, maybe if we could arrange that the week before the meeting, you go in to the bank and get the printouts so I can create the report.
I can do that.
Yeah, okay. So hopefully going forward, you'll have the correct information in a timely manner. We do have
Kind of left it up in the air, Jennifer. I can advise the board that.
Yeah.
Very end
Okay.
of that. Where did
Well,
you
let's.
finish?
I just told you what I advised.
Okay, right.
You're supposed to be in my head, apparently.
Okay.
You do have the GL ledger. It's fairly current. It was printed off October 11th. And when we get to the financial reports, if you have any questions about the GL report, I'll make sure to answer them then. Vaccine report receipts, we have done a tremendous number.
Okay.
I think we've done over 1,000 just in the Stainer branch. So the uptake for this has been really good. We've also had a lot of additional memberships as a result. So it's been a good news item. It's also increased our profile in the community. And my plan is that we will, now that the QR codes are out, we will continue to provide this service probably until mid-November. After that point in time, we will continue to print them for free, but we won't be laminating them. You can only take that so long. And I would suspect that by that point, most people are going to have either their vaccine receipts or the QR code. When you go into the database now, you don't see the vaccine receipts, you only see the QR code.
Oh, okay.
So anyone who hasn't had that yet, that's what they're going to find when they go in, and we certainly continue to help people with that.
Okay.
Okay, we had a bit of a nightmare at the Creemore branch when I got the township's water and sewer bill, and it was almost $800 more than we normally pay. And that was just because of the sprinkler system, and either it was malfunctioning or somebody out to dealing with that hadn't turned off the water supply. I'm not entirely sure. We did normally get charged a percentage for the sewage when you've had a certain amount of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can tell you that none of the water actually went through the sewage system. At any rate, Terry Vachon, who is the general manager for Parks, Recreation and Culture, has picked up that entire bill and paid it on our behalf because that was our verbal agreement. But I think, again, it underscores that going forward, I think for 2022, it should be a board goal to work on having a written MOU with the township for any services. I mean, they do our payroll, they pay all our accounts. It behooves
The auditing, yeah.
the gentleman's agreement that we have had over the course of time since 1994 has worked very well for us. But, you want to hedge your bets. Things work best when everybody knows for sure what their role in a situation is. So I think we should work on that. That would be my recommendation. Yes, it really is important to each other. Because, Kimberly, you're right. I've worked.
I'm thinking of succession, right?
Yes, that's just it. Because you've got great people working together now, and not that you and the township wouldn't hire more great people, but they wouldn't have necessarily the background that we have. So I just, have whoever comes in after us know exactly what's expected of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you can't change it over time. There's nothing written in stone here. This isn't the 10 Commandments, but at least it would give people a firm guide of where we should be going. Your worship?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Good recommendation. I know it's always good to make a recommendation and put a bit of a timeline on it. You can say for 2022, but when would we like to get this completed so that it would be then approved by our board and then approved by council?
I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I know we should do it for 2022. I know that all your department heads, your worship, are kind of snowed under with dealing with the pandemic.
Yeah.
I would say to have it done by the fall of 2022, because this would be something that, we'd want to work on from our aspect, but we'd also want the township to be working on. And I can't really tell you what timelines would be appropriate for township.
Okay.
But
perhaps if I can just suggest, perhaps a meeting with yourself, your board chair, the CAO from of Clearview, John Ferguson, that maybe you could set that up and have a discussion about that. I know that John has had a little bit of experience in creating these type of working agreements, so it might be something that he can assist you with and give you a better idea as to how long it could take. Okay.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you, your worship.
No problem.
Maybe sometime in the spring.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll give him a heads up. But yes, I don't think we need to look at it right away. But yeah, if we sit down and discuss, and John certainly does have a lot of experience in municipal legalese, shall we say. So that would be great. I think with his help, we could get through this fairly quickly and get a document that works for everybody.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Okay, you do have under correspondence a letter that the chair of the Simcoe County CEOs Committee from the Library Cooperative has sent off to the chair of the review committee for the library service report at the county level. My feedback has been that every board that has had a meeting subsequent to this letter going off has decided to write a letter of their own in support of the library cooperative and having it remain as status quo rather than any of the suggestions that came out of the consultant's report. And so I would recommend that this board do that as well. The major recommendation from the consultant, and they were sent back by the committee to review their report and provide some more detail, was that we should move to a county public library system. And as a professional in the field, I can tell you that would be a huge disservice to every community in Simcoe County, but particularly to one such as Clearview, because if we were the population we are, but in a much smaller geographic area, I think you would be dealing with only one library branch. We inherited 3 and thankfully have maintained them. But it's also important that we have libraries that people can get to. We do not have a bus system throughout Clearview Township. And I believe that if we moved to a county system, that you would inevitably see costs go up in terms of staffing, and the way to cut down costs overall is to reduce the number of locations. I think you would lose at least 1 branch, if not 2. And I could never come to this board or any subsequent boards and recommend a lower service provision. I mean, sometimes you have to, because fiscal restraints come into effect and you have to reduce hours or whatever. Not that I'm recommending we do that, but to actually close a branch is a major change in the level of service you provide your community. And that's my primary concern with that recommendation coming out of the consultant's report. I would also say that a lot of their information was erroneous, and or they hadn't even dealt with some of the things. Well, you can see some of the things that were talked about in that letter. But my overall recommendation is that we do write this committee and advise them how we feel about the recommendation coming from the consultant and the need for more information.
I agree. Pam?
I'm just wondering about the next steps. Like this is a consultant's report. Who decides what goes forward? What does the next step look like?
So I did attend the meeting, and overall, my perception is that the committee was not very happy with the report because they also were concerned about the direction the consultant was taking, and that some of the key information was missing. And this was primarily because CEOs read the report and got back to the members of the committee. So the committee sent the report back to the consultants to do some further work on it. And then it will come back to the committee. I have to tell you that I was not happy with the responses that the consultants gave to some of the questions coming from the counselors in that committee. It didn't sound like they had thought about possible questions that might come up. And I felt like they were ill-prepared and didn't have the information at their fingertips, which one would think coming to a council committee you would have. But so they'll be reviewing it again. If we get in touch with them and tell them what our concerns are, or what your concerns as the board are, this will help them further analyze the report. And at some point, the committee will make a recommendation to county council, and county council will, receive those recommendations as well as the document itself and make a decision. This is not the only service review. Your worship, you're on county council, you know this. There are a number of other things such as fire and planning that are also being looked at. And a lot of this is coming out of the province that wanted to have county municipalities look at where we can make efficiencies, where we can make cost savings, where we can provide better service. So it's not an attack on the library cooperative by any means in terms of having a service review. Librarians, of course, are trying to protect things. In fact, the counselors on the committee have indicated that they were a little surprised that there was so much not backlash, but information and concern being expressed already. And I think that speaks to the nature of public libraries in that we're very grassroots. We directly affect community members almost every day, and almost every one of them. When you look at planning is so vitally important, but when do you ever talk to the planning department? Not really until you need the planning department. Whereas, there are many people in our communities who need the library every day. So we have, I think one of the things that public libraries excel at is having that finger in every pie in every home sort of thing. We have the pulse of our constituency in essence, which some of the other departments don't have. So that's why, we come back vociferously and having done a lot of work to determine what we need. So there still are lots of steps. It's not like county council is just going to take this report and make a decision on it. There's still information coming forth and more work that has to be done by the consultants.
But the ultimate decision is the county's?
The county can make a decision if we are to go to county public library status. 2/3 of the municipalities in the county have to also adopt that. So you could actually have municipalities that decided, even if we went county, that decided that their municipality was not going to participate, and they would still have their own independent library board and libraries. Bob, you had a question?
I did. It's concerning the letter that was sent out. It's dated October the 2nd. There's 1,000 points or whatever been raised in this letter, a lot of them anyway. Has the consultant, you said that their responses were less than overwhelming. Were those responses to this letter?
No, their responses were during the course of the meeting, the consultants' responses were going to the county councillors sitting on the committee. Most of the CEOs in the county were watching the meeting, but we were only watching. We were not participants. So no, the consultant has probably seen this document because I'm sure somebody on the committee has forwarded it to them, but it was sent to the chair of the committee.
So if we are going to write a letter of support for the continuation of the county, of the cooperative, it would probably be appropriate for us to include in it a support for the requirement for additional information as outlined in the letter of the October the 2nd.
Mhm.
Yep, I have no problem for that. It would be a good idea to formally ask them to ensure that the consultant looks at these questions.
Mm-hmm. In reading through them, I thought, wow, you know, it seems like there's so many points that the consultant probably should have considered already.
Yeah.
That pointing to them certainly is appropriate. And so I would actually make a motion. You can write it out whichever way you'd like to. It's going to be a little complicated. So that the Clearview Public Library Board write a letter, I guess, to the consultant.
Do we want to write? Everybody else is writing to the actual the chair of the committee.
Okay, all right. To the committee, outlining our position with regard to the co-op and supporting the request for further information from the consultant as outlined in the letter of October the 2nd.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Sorry for talking so fast.
That's okay. No, I'm getting it down. Okay, I've sort of got that down. Madam Chair, do you want to look for a seconder to that emotion?
Would somebody like to second that, please? Okay, John seconded. Everybody in favor?
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
All right. Okay, and I have, as per your request, informed our donor that we will accept the steam train for the Stainer branch, and once it's in, we'll look at how we can house it. So she was very happy. It's coming from her mother. Okay, and I guess we're moving on to the CEO's report, and we've already pretty much dealt with the vaccine policy.
Yeah.
And you've got the job descriptions in front of you. Please look them over the course of the next month. You can let me know in advance of the meetings if you have any questions. Much of the information in there is the same as it was the last time around. Some of the information, particularly in terms of health and safety, is following how the township handles that. So really the format of the entire thing is similar to the township of Clearview's. And I don't think we want to go off too on target when we're trying to, all our positions are compared to somebody at the township. So you want there to be a similarity so that, you know, it's easy for whatever consultant comes in to do the pay equity comparison. We did have a staff member, I believe I told you, who was off on a short-term disability. This had nothing to do with work. This was an injury at home, but she is now back on staff and only had 3 weeks off. So that's great. And we did have a staff member who was qualified to do a lot of her positions functions. So she didn't come back to 3 weeks worth of work, which is always the fear when you go off on short-term disability. And that pretty much takes care of that. And then you've got the job description. So Madam Chair, the next item is receiving the statistical reports for August and September.
Yeah. All right, any questions there?
There were no comparative reports for the totals.
You know, last year when we couldn't get in, we weren't doing, I don't have figures from some of last year. And I think either in November or December, I'm going to make an effort to pull these off, but I don't have, when you're only working part-time in the office, it's hard to get that together. I can tell you that our programs are remarkably high. I know for a fact there's not a lot of variation between this and previous year.
You're getting way ahead of me there, Jennifer.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't really asking for it.
Okay.
What I was going to suggest was, what I was going to ask is, do you have a sense of how quickly we are getting back to traditional levels of activity?
Okay, I can tell you that our memberships are up over this time last year. And I think that again is largely happening in September. And because we're coming out with the laminating and printing of the vaccine receipts, our Twitter and Facebook and our website usage is pretty much the same as it was this time last year, but the Twitter and Facebook have gone up. And our numbers for actual physical items going out of the branch is higher than it was last year. People are getting used to coming back in the library, and that's great. And we should see money flowing in now because we are making deposits now into the township from, I mean, we don't have fines, but we have other fees that people are paying to us. So that's something I'm really, and our electronic resources are up over last year, not hugely at this point in time. They certainly did a big jump when you couldn't come into the library at all, but we were open at this time last year. And, but just the numbers, I'm really, part of me is really pleased with the circulation numbers because they are higher than they were last year at this time. I'm not happy because, you know, in 2019, they were a lot higher, but you know, what can you do? It's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Has the acquisitions for the collection been keeping up with norm, or have we sort of put that on a soft pedal while we've been relatively inactive? This year we're doing really well. I know it doesn't look that way from the general ledger, but if you remember that we really only have two big seasons for publishing, and it right now is one of them. So when through the summer, I was getting maybe $700 worth a month of invoices for collection materials, I'm now getting a hell of a lot more. So that's really picked up pace. I think we're pretty much on target there. We do have a mechanism to track collection materials costing by branch through our integrated library software. And so that helps me see not just what you see in the general ledger, which is what we've actually spent, but it also lets me see what we've, what we intend to spend before the end of the year, what we've ordered. So we're doing well in that regard. I don't know if any of you have used Press Reader, which is a streaming service for magazines and newspapers on our website under online resources. Please use it. It's got over 7,000 of them from all around the world in a variety of languages. The uptake for that has been growing as well. And this is something that the county cooperative has organized, but did not have the budget to purchase. So that will be appearing shortly as one of the expenses in our capital collections materials. Pam?
Yeah, I just had a question about that. I was showing people at school, other staff members, how to use the Press Reader, because just all of the magazines and publications. But when I signed up, it said that I just have a month. Is that right? Like,
you have to go in. Oh God, I wish I could remember how to do it right off there. If you go into it, I'm just going to physically go in. So when I tell you things, it's not off in left field. So you've gone in, you hit e-resources, blah, 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 and you
Yeah.
click on press reader.
Yeah.
Now I'm already signed in, but okay,
Yeah.
if you go up and look at the top corner, there'll be a little circle that's empty. And what you need to do is not click on and sign up for a month, but log in. And when you log in, you have to log in as Simcoe County Library Cooperative. There'll be a whole bunch of libraries listed.
Yeah.
You pick that one, and then it will ask you for your barcode and your PIN number.
Yeah, I think I did that.
It will
I'm-
drop you out after a period
Yeah.
of time. Okay, so you can be in there for, mine stays on for about 3 days, and then I have to go in and log in again. And every time there's this thing about, you're 70, just click that off. As long as it has your initials in that little round bauble on the top right-hand corner,
Right.
you are in fact logged into the system. It recognizes that you're
Okay.
coming in through Simcoe County Library Cooperative, and away you go. So
Okay.
that's the only way that you can use it consistently without having to sign up for a free trial, is to go through that. It also will, we haven't got the numbers yet, but it will allow the county cooperative to tell me how many people are, actually, we do have it. Okay, so last month it was 155 people who had gone in. It wasn't all me. There's obviously somebody else using it as well. But I really do recommend it. If you like reading the daily paper and don't want to purchase an e-subscription for yourself or buy a paper copy, this is great. If you want to see the news in the UK or in Washington, DC, and not have to pay for it, you got it here. There are very few of the major dailies that aren't included. The Times, I think, in London is about the only major daily you might really want to see that's not. And it's not even included in the UK version, which I think we should all get together and start lobbying them about. But and it's got stuff for kids. It's got stuff for everybody, even the LBG. Okay, I can never remember the initials community. It covers everything. It's fantastic. But yet, if you do have any questions, call one of the branches. If we're not open, get in touch with me and I'll get back to you.
I have been in, spent some time in it, a lot more time than I thought I was going to spend in it, because it's worse than Facebook. Once you get in, there's just so many titles in there that you say, oh, what's this? And you open it up, and then you spend a half an hour on that, searching through stuff. Your time just flies when you're in there. So beware. Can be addictive.
It really can, but you know
yeah.
what? You're better informed than you would be before. Suddenly you know stuff about what's happening in another part of the country or another part of the world that, we really, despite the internet, we can get quite insular. And I think this allows us to expand on that. The other thing is we have new immigrants and even second generation immigrants in our communities who would love to read things in their first language. And you may look at our total collection budget and think this is huge, but it isn't when you break it down into all the formats we have. And for some of the languages that I'm talking about, when you may not have that many people in the community who regularly read in that language, it starts to make less sense to put your limited dollars into that. But by paying for Press Reader, we provide them with access to current information and recreational material in their first language. And not only does it assist them in having a better quality of life, but it also can help them to ensure that that language is passed not just orally, but in the written form to their kids. Right? You'd say, this is a really interesting article. You should pick this up. Suddenly, okay, obviously not your 4 or 5 year old is going to look at it, but maybe your teenager is going to start looking at it. And that's important too for ensuring. One of the things we should be doing is ensuring that cultures can continue and thrive. And this is one way that, as a group, as the Simcoe County Library Cooperative and its members, we can do.
Something that I thought about as I was going through I was reading the Montreal Gazette paper, no, what, it was a Montreal paper. I can't remember which one it was. And I thought, this is a great tool to promote as an alternative source of finding information other than Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp or yada, yada. Because you have reasonable assurance that what you're reading is legit. Even the stuff that is on the internet that looks like it might be a legit source, you really have to watch what you're looking at. With this stuff, it obviously is legit. You have to, of course, accept the biases that every publication has. The Toronto Star's got a bias, the Sun's got a bias, et cetera, et cetera. So,
but there's an expectation that they follow a journalistic protocol and ethics.
Yeah, there's an editorial staff behind it.
There's an editorial staff, and that looking for facts and yeah. So that is great, and because most of us who've had to write reports or essays, and you have to go and cite sources. These are sources you can cite. Pam, you can speak to this. You don't let them cite Wikipedia when the high school students are writing reports. That's not an accepted, unless things have changed, it's not an accepted resource. But these are, they have biases, just like every journalistic venture does. But they are trying to get at the truth, and certainly I think numbers and data that they present are more reliable than a lot of the things you can find on the internet. And I'm sure Pam has experience teaching students at the high school level. When you do use the internet, what do you look for to ensure that you're actually getting good information that's valid? And one of the ways to do it is to go to journals and magazines and newspapers. And quite frankly, if you're looking at something current, daily newspapers are going to give you the information and data that there's a status of accuracy that you're not necessarily going to find in social media.
I wonder if we could promote WordPress by putting some sort of we have a media section in every library, the magazine section. Could we put a little sign up there that says, have you tried WordPress? Or do you know about WordPress? Or let us tell you about WordPress, something of that nature. That might start a conversation with staff in the branch that otherwise the person might not get the exposure to.
I think that's a very good idea, and I'm going to delegate that to Michelle. So if you could make sure
Got it.
something is, so that every branch has that in there, and to direct them to staff for more information about what's available.
Yeah, maybe ask us. Ask us about.
Yeah. We'll come up with something that draws their attention and draws them to the staff to ask more about it. Because, we put stuff on the website, unless you tell people about it, they don't know what it is, and they're reluctant to, some of them are reluctant to go in there and make a stab at it.
It's all about merchandising.
It is. So that's good.
Yeah, having a little picture of the app, or like the icon of the app would be sort of a good.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Well, moving on along from that, you do have the under correspondence, in addition to the CEO's chair's committee's letter. Oh, I can't even get that out right. The Simcoe County Library Cooperative CEO's committee letter to the chair of the county council committee looking at library review. You also have correspondence from the medical officer of health in relation to having vaccine policies. So that was just in there primarily to underscore the need for us to have a vaccine policy, but we have one, so we're very happy. Move on from that. And Madam Chair, I think the next thing on the agenda is the financial reports.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do have the bank accounts for August. I can tell you, you'll get the specific numbers when I get the bank statements next month to cover both September and October, because Michelle is going to make sure that we go into the bank and get these, since they don't come very quickly through the mail. But I can tell you, we have recorded the additional 10,000 donation from Sunrise Homes in the Stainer Library building project account as a September donation. So that's putting us a lot closer to our goal overall. And were there any questions related to the general ledger report dated October 11th? Okay, the only thing I would, if there's no questions, I will point out, when you get down to the capital expenditures for the library, one of the lines ends in 825 and it's building property improvements. There was nothing budgeted there, although there is a charge for $5,656. And we didn't budget anything because we did not expect the flat roof at the new Lowell branch to fail, but it did. And the cost for the repair was that amount. So we will adjust other things. So, it'll all work out in the wash, but we weren't anticipating that expense. And that's why you don't see anything for that under the budget. Hopefully it will never fail again.
Okay. Did anyone want to bring forward any new business? Pam?
Yeah, I was in the library on Saturday, and I just was wondering if there's any kind of timeline for being able to use the furniture. There's a lot of, studies now that show that COVID is not contracted by touching surfaces. I would love to sit and read. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of idea of when that could happen.
Okay, so where we are right now is obviously there's chairs for the computers. And if anyone wants a chair to be able to sit and read, we will provide it. I think we probably, with it by the end of this month, can start looking at putting at least some of the furniture back out for casual use. I think we would probably continue to ask people not to use the couches, because you tend to gather not necessarily with your family on those. And we are required both by the province and by the health unit to continue to ensure that people are social distancing. Obviously, you don't have to social distance for people in your household, but I'm just thinking, especially in the teens area, you're probably, not going to have 4 teens sitting together who are in the same household. So that would, but yeah, I think we can probably, Michelle, you're in this week. Maybe by the end of the week, we can start putting out some of the chairs around tables in all the branches. All right, and leave off, well, Creemore doesn't have a couch, but both New Lowell and Stainer do. So I think that's doable, and that's something I probably should have thought of before, Pam, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm so concerned about. Some people have said to us, why do you still have capacity limits? I'm thinking, well, if we're still required to ensure you're distancing and social distancing and wearing a mask, and I've only got one person and I've got 50 people in the branch, that's not possible, right? But we can certainly let people come and sit.
Bob?
Similar vein, are we still putting our book returns into quarantine?
No, we're not,
Okay.
and haven't been for some time, based on what Pam was talking about.
So on another matter, I had a telephone call today from a patron that was in trying to find the telephone number for a branch on our website. And it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, under the Contact Us page. But now if you hit Contact Us, it comes up with a bunch of email addresses,
Yeah.
email contacts.
It's under, you go to locations and hours, and it will tell you the street address, the phone number, when we were
Right.
open and closed of each branch.
It's not particularly intuitive. They couldn't find it. They've been working at it for a while and could not find it. So they gave me a call to see if I had the number for the branch. They wanted to phone and renew a book. That's what they were after. I put them into the, to log in to do it. But I'm wondering, if you go to most websites, if you were to click on the Contact Us, what you get is the address, the mailing address for the company, and the telephone number and fax number and this type, that type, and their Facebook connections, etc. Is it not possible at the top of that page to put a link that would take you to that hours and locations page?
I just did it, Bob. It's right there. I don't know how your person did not get it. I just literally did it.
I was in myself to that and I could not get there.
Okay, if you go into Contact Us, Michelle, it does not list, it only lists the email addresses. It does not list.
Okay, and then go into location and hours. Go down.
Yeah, but you could do that from the top. But what he's saying is that most people would think Contact Us would include phone numbers.
It's not intuitive.
Right there.
Yeah, also the social media handles is, I think, a really good idea, because that's where you might look for those kinds of contact information.
Okay, so if you hit the icons on the home page, you'll go directly to our social media. But I can have recognize people that this website is not ours. We designed it as a group so that major changes, information within these pages can be changed, but some of the things can't be, because they were agreed to at that time by the group and would require the group to change it. Right, so it's not just it's our website, but it's within a framework that has been agreed on by almost every library in the county. So the cooperative initiated this, but there's only Bradford and Innisfil are not actually a part of this.
I understand that. What I'm looking at, though, is on the page that opens up when you click Contact Us, there are a whole bunch of links there already. So obviously we can put links in there.
Yeah, we can put in the phone number information. That's no problem at all. That's just a matter of you telling us that someone, it would make, obviously under location and hours, yes, you can put that. But what they really want is, how do I pick up the phone and get this? You know, here's your email, I can get to you that way, but how do I do this? Because quite frankly, we've got all those email addresses listed there, and I'm the only one who through the pandemic has consistently gotten emails from the public, because my email is
first on the list.
Another page. Yeah, but it's also on another page. And that's fine, and I don't care. I'll answer anybody's questions and help them out 24/7, but you're right, probably the branch emails should be up there too.
Branch phone numbers.
Yeah, sorry.
Branch phone numbers,
Don't get checked. Because really, the old school, that's what people want to find out. How do I contact this person physically and talk to them?
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
can do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other concerns or new business to bring forward? Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Okay, then I guess we're ready to adjourn. Can we have a motion to adjourn, please? measures. Oh, I don't think we need that seconded, do we?
Bob put it, yes, we should have to.
A seconder, no vote.
All right.
All right, so we'll see everybody next month.
Okay, thank you very much.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye,
Jen.
everyone.
Take care. Enjoy the day or what's left of it.
Yeah.
Jennifer, hang on, okay? Okay.
Okay,
Hey there, okay.
we're still live. So Kayla, can you stop?
Okay.